Hello, everybody, and welcome to Module 4. So far in our course, we have gone through valuing creativity, clarifying creativity, and understanding the elements of creativity. So the bulk of our work is pretty much done in regards to the background and understanding of the theory and development of creativity. So we've kind of learned a lot about why we do it, why is it important, and what are the elements. So now we're going to take that information and we're going to move on to Module 4 where we're going to start to assess creativity. So here is where the first 3 modules are really about learning about creativity. We're going to learn this week or in this module, how do we assess creativity? And then moving forward, we're going to figure out how do we use this and apply it to our classrooms or apply it with students. So Module 4 is fun. It's in a different way where you're going to look at different assessments on how different people look at creativity. A lot of times with gifted students, most times in many states, students are required to take an IQ test or some sort of assessment to have them qualify for gifted. Some assessments have a creativity component and some do not. And it's a state by state and sometimes county by county decision on what they decide to use. So we're going to look at a few different creativity assessments. You're going to look at those in detail, then you're going to create your own. So that's kind of what Module 4 is going to look like. So let's go into Module 4 and take a look at our overview. In Module 4, our key question is, can creativity be measured? That's really what we're asking ourselves this week. Can we measure creativity? And you're going to answer that question at the end as part of our exit ticket. Some of the key concepts that we're going to be addressing during this module is describing, comparing, and evaluating the different measurements of creativity, explaining the role of assessments in various evaluation processes, and describing traits and criteria used to assess creative outcomes and products. I will post the overview video here once we are done. It'll also be on the YouTube. And then here are the assignments and activities for the week. Of course, we always start with our warm-up. Following our warm-up, assignment 8 is about measuring and assessing creativity. You'll have a few resources for that. Assignment 9 is you're going to create your own creativity assessment tool based on the information you learned in assignment 8. Then your creativity project, and then your exit ticket. Now, this module has a lot more reading and resources than a lot of the other modules so far. And that's because there is so much information and a lot of varied information about can you measure creativity. It's kind of, we don't want to put students in a box when we're talking about creativity. And so then how do you take that and then measure how creative something is and what does that scale look like? So there are quite a few resources out here for you to sift through if you're curious. As a resource, most of them are actually websites. So like if this box has an arrow, that means it's going to bring you to an external site. It's either a video or it's a website. So a lot of these are websites, the first handful, and then these are some documents. These are actually really good resources for you. I would highly suggest that you at least click on and review each of these particular resources. I think they will really help you, especially in the classroom when you have a creativity component as part of a project or assignment, or you're explicitly teaching creativity, which I did. I taught explicitly creativity or creative thinking skills 30 to 45 minutes every single day. And so this will really help you to figure out how will you assess that within your classroom. Okay, so we're going to start with our creativity warm-up today. And this one's pretty fun, actually. I like it a lot. This is a video, and you're going to watch the video. I won't play it now. And it's called Alike. It's won quite a few awards, and it's one of those like Paramount or Pixar type videos, and there's no real speaking in it. So it's a lot of just motion, and it tells a story between a dad and his son. And the dad really wants the son to conform into the world, and you can see what a conform world looks like, and a son doesn't want to do that. And you see how this relationship goes. It's about 8 minutes long. Fantastic. I would even suggest sharing this video with your students. It does not matter how old they are. Everyone from kindergarten to high school to an adult, I truly believe will get something out of this video. A lot of creative activities or discussions or restorative circles can come out of this. So bookmark it, save it, keep this for future. It is a fantastic video. So you're going to watch this on your own, and then hopefully this video will create some feelings for you. You're going to feel something when you're done watching this video. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to post about a paragraph, 3 to 4 sentences on how this video made you feel. But then you're going to give your feeling a color. So for example, when I respond, I might change all of my text to the color in which I'm feeling. So type it out, Control A, select all of the text, change the font color, and then you can post it. You can also write what color it made you feel based on what you wrote. That's perfectly fine, but it will be way easier for me to see what color you assigned your feelings based on the video. Okay, so our first assignment, assignment 8, is all about learning about measuring and assessing creativity. How do we measure it? Is it possible? Should we even do it? And creativity is so subjective. What one person thinks is creative, another may not think is creative. So there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to creativity. You may have thought of that idea already and it's new to someone else, doesn't mean it's not creative. So there's this article, there's only 2 resources for you. There's this Measuring Creativity article. I'm gonna pull up the preview. And this article, I'm not even sure how many pages it is. 31 pages. I know, it's long. My suggestion is you read through the whole thing. And I understand that it's long. Print it if you need to. I would definitely download the PDF because there's certain things you're going to need to look for specifically. And typically in Adobe, there's a search bar and you can search keywords. So that will help you navigate through the article as well. So download the PDF, and then when you open it in Adobe Reader or Adobe Acrobat, whatever you have on your computer, you'll then be able to search the keywords that you're going to need for the information for this activity. It's really great. He talks about different programs and how creativity is measured, or what assessment programs look like with creativity in the gifted program. So some of the theoretical frameworks, and then he talks about theories of creativity, but also specific assessments. So this is really where you're going to start on this page here when it comes to your assignment this week, because we're going to talk about the tolerance test of creative thinking, which also has additional resources for you on our overview page. The Walsh-Kogan creativity test, the remote association test, the creativity assessment packet. I mean, there are so many assessments here. And then there's kind of a summary of them. So great article for you. How they're measured, the characteristics of measuring, and like a sample test. You can Google a lot of these. A lot of these will actually, when you Google them or do some research, will give you example of what some of the test questions look like. And I would highly suggest that you do that, because it's one thing to just read about it, but it's another thing to be able to just see what some of those sample questions look like. And that's the same for like our IQ testing for gifted here. So we use in our district 2 different primary types of tests. We use the RIAS and the NNAT or the Naglieri when you're a gifted teacher. Now, psychologists may use a different test, but those are about the 2 tests a gifted teacher might use to identify gifted students before they see a psychologist. And then the psychologist then may use different testing. But there's all sorts of testing available for IQ and gifted testing. Now, it is good to even go look at those, because then you kind of know like what kind of thinking is required to answer some of these questions. In some of your other gifted courses, they talk about those tests in much more detail. We won't do that here. We are just focusing on the creativity end. Okay, so that's your first article. Please download it, use it. You're going to need it. And then this is a video. It's not very long. I think it's less than 5 minutes long, by James Kaufman. And he actually studies and researches creativity. He has a ton of videos. This is actually just a short video clip. It's not very long, but he's got quite a few out there on YouTube and pretty popular in the creativity world. So once you've gone through and read and watched the video, you're going to use this worksheet. I've posted it for you in 2 places. So it's here and it is here. And you're going to download this document and save it to your desktop. And then you're going to answer it fully. You're going to complete this document. And let's open it because this just goes over what the document says on the inside. So what it's going to ask you to do is you're going to take these 5 that we pulled from the article, and you're going to summarize that test. Read through it, read through additional resources. You might need to do a little bit more research outside of this article. You will need to do more research outside of this article to get a full and complete summary of what the test is. Do a good job because this is really important for you to understand how creativity can often be measured and assessed. Give me a paragraph or so. Don't really need more than a paragraph if you can be concise and to the point and clear on your summary. So then you're going to take that information because you've read the article, you've watched the video, now you've created your own summary of the test. You're not copy and pasting it. You're going to discuss the reasons to support a creativity assessment as it pertains to the following criteria. Criteria for gifted programs, identification for appropriate learning settings for students who display disruptive or impulsive behaviors, and for research. So in this box right here, you'll just click it and you'll press enter, and on the second line, you'll say, why is creativity important for gifted programs? A creativity assessment. Based on what you learned in the article, why would you say it is important that creativity be a criteria for gifted programs? Okay, same thing with B. You're going to take what you've learned and you're going to say, what setting for students, why is creativity assessment important for our disruptive and impulsive behavior students? Where can this fit in to our students, gifted and maybe even non-gifted, to change their behavior? What can be different by assessing their creativity? Because a lot of times our behavior students are bored, especially our gifted students. So quite frankly, with my experience with gifted students, my hardest, most challenging students in their classroom did not struggle as much in my classroom because of the creativity I naturally embedded, and it was challenging to them and it hit their personal creative needs. And so sometimes we have to think outside the box in that way. And then what does research say about it? Which, you're reading an article, that's research based, so you should be able to pull some information from there. Okay, and then the last thing you're going to do here is you're going to discuss the 5 controversial issues surrounding creativity tests that's mentioned in the article. So you're going to give me a summary of those controversial issues, and do you agree or disagree with those? So 1, yeah, this controversial issue I completely agree with, and then here's why. So you're going to list them, you're going to tell me that. So it's going to give you both the positives and the negative perspectives, which we want to do. You know, you're going to definitely lean towards one way or another when you're done with this article, and that's okay. Creativity needs to be assessed in some ways. How we do it, that's to the individual in their classroom, or the test writers, or what the district or the state chooses. But it's definitely something that we need to continue to discuss. So following that, you should have a great in-depth understanding of what creativity tests and assessments look like. So then you're going to come over here and you're going to create an informal creativity assessment tool, which we call an ICAT. So now you're going to take what you learned. What are the components of the test that you read and learned about? There are charts and everything in that article. And you're going to use this document right here. I'm going to open it up. And you're going to list 5 traits or abilities that you think should be included in a creativity assessment if you were making it. Okay? You're saying, this is what I believe based on what I have learned in the first 4 modules about creativity and the theory and the development and the understanding, what you currently understand. And you're going to list those traits. Now, they can be personality traits, they can be cognitive, they can be behavioral, they can be traits commonly displayed in creative people. This may be on resources from this module and that article. And any resources that we have used when we've talked about important traits. Then you're going to create something that would test that trait. Okay, so for example, if my trait is that someone is an innovator, right? An innovative student. So maybe their task or their assignment to prove whether or not they're an innovative thinker is to give them a car and they have to redesign the car in some way. I mean, this is just a generic example. Okay, so you're going to think, are they going to bring something new to the table with the redesign of their car? Are they going to be out of the box thinking in that? Then you're going to describe what is it that you are looking for in this assessment. What are you looking to observe? So that if I was given your creativity test, I would know what I'm looking for. You are looking for, a student to add something unusual or new to the car that hasn't been done before. You are looking for a deconstruction, reconstruction. You are looking for a purpose, for a new purpose for the car. What is it that you're looking to see based on your task? And then how is that going to be scored? So now you need to give it a score. Is it a yes or no? Is it a tally, a number of ideas? Is it a rating scale, 0 to 5? In my circumstance, I might say, yes, the student created new innovative ideas. No, they did not add anything new to their vehicle. Something along those lines. So you have to think through this, which is why I said you need to start looking up some of these creative tests so you can see what they measure and what you agree and disagree with. So all 5 of those, you're creating your own creativity assessment. So then you're going to finish that. And I would even suggest, hey, give yourself a break. Stop. And I know even for me, come back the next day or in 2 or 3 hours. I'll leave that up to you. And then come back and self-evaluate your report. So give yourself a little brain break and say, okay, I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to read it with fresh eyes and I'm going to give myself an evaluation. And you're going to evaluate yourself. I'm not going to do it. I mean, I'll look at your test, obviously, when you submit it. But did you include IQ or intelligence data? Yes or no? Did you include biographical information? Yes or no? Does your tool assess past creative achievements? Will your students find it engaging and interesting? And does it have as its final result a manageable score or answer? And then why do you think it's useful? Not that those questions mean that your assessment is good or bad. It's just making you think a little bit deeper about it. So I know I just read it to you, but try and forget it before you do it, and then do your report, and then follow up with the reflection. So that's what you're going to do and submit. So those are the only 2 assignments that you have for Module 4. Really not too many, but really hopefully get you thinking and understanding the assessment process better. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to go into step 3 of the developing of a creativity project. At this point, most of you have submitted your information about what you're going to do, your challenge statement. And really great ideas. I love what this class is doing with this with our challenge statements this year. Some of them are personal. Some of them have to do with like some social justice. Some are definitely things that are family related. So you guys are really understanding what it means to create and develop a challenge statement. And so now we want to move a little bit further in developing that process. So you're going to listen to this episode of Amy Clymer's podcast or read the transcript. It's all on her website. And what you're going to do is you're going to begin to develop a plan that looks at the pluses and the potentials and the concerns of your challenge statement. You are going to use page 11 and 13 of your CPS workbook for reference and to take notes. However, for your submission this week, you're going to submit this. You're not always submitting something for our creativity project, but in this module, you will. But don't start yet, because module 5, you're going to create an action plan and then you can get going. So right here is the development of your CPS submission. And here is what it looks like. And so you're going to take your challenge statement and type it right here at the top, or handwrite it. Some of you like to handwrite it, which is fine. And you're going to take those 3 ideas, and I left 5 boxes because some of you gave 5 ideas, some of you gave 3 ideas. So if you need to add your 5 ideas, or you did 4 ideas, I left space in there for you to write it. So you're just going to copy and paste those ideas that you had submitted in module 3, and you're going to say, what are the pluses? So what are the positives about your idea? What would work? What could potentially what could your idea potentially lead to? What could potentially happen? And then what are concerns? What might not work? Kind of like the black thinking hat. What concerns are you capable of doing it? What might go wrong? Just kind of that more like negative perspective. So you have your pluses as your positive, your potentials, what could happen, maybe the creative end, and then what are your concerns? And then with those concerns, how can you overcome them to complete each of these ideas? Now, you'll probably only do one of these 3 to 5 ideas when it comes to your project. You may do more because it may need to include more. However, you want to take a look at each of those ideas and figure out and look at it from a whole perspective. You're looking at it from multiple perspectives. You're taking a close look at these ideas, and are they manageable? Can they be completed? And if they couldn't, how can you overcome that, or what can you change? Okay. So then you're going to evaluate your ideas, and you're going to use a 3 to 5 criteria rating for each idea. So you're not obviously scoring each other. So you're going to just copy and paste your ideas down again. And how would you score those? And she talks a bit about that in the podcast, so make sure you listen. Give yourself a criteria on, would you rate them on creativity or production or whatever it is, and then just rate each idea. So at a 3 to 5 points, give yourself points, and then give yourself a total. That's it. So not too much. And then you're just going to do a quick little reflection on page 2, and you're going to say, now that you've taken a good look and you've identified and spent more time looking at these 3 to 5 ideas, what realistically do you see yourself doing for this project? Now, what I do know is some of you have reached out to me and asked me, can I already get started, or can I do parts of my project? Of course you can, but it needs to be narrowed down. And so what is realistic for you in this process? And remember, you will have a presentation and need to share this with the class, and that's important as well. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to give me your exit ticket and how can creativity be measured. And so you're going to pick one option listed below. So you're either going to say, I agree that creativity can be measured, or I disagree and do not think creativity can be measured. And then you are going to write 1 to 2 paragraphs responding to either one that you chose, and you're going to use text-based evidence to respond as well as your opinion. So what does research say, and then what do you believe, and you're going to state that, and then read and respond to someone else's post. So that's really all we have for module 4. It's definitely a little bit more in depth in understanding how to assess, and I hope that this course is going really well for you, receiving some good feedback, trying to keeping up with grading. We're actually like halfway there, so hooray for being halfway. Module 5, we get to talk about our learning environment. Module 6, how are we developing and nurturing that in our classroom. Module 7, identifying programs and evaluation procedures. So that looks a little different. That's more classroom based. And then module 8, we're going to talk about the cultural conceptions of creativity and our commitment to it. And then we have our post test. So really things are coming along smoothly. If you have questions, please email me, and I look forward to seeing you in Module 5.